Welcome back to another video and a warm welcome to all the new subscribers to the channel. In today's video, I'm going to try to explain to you guys and introduce to you who I am, where all of this got started, what I've done, and how it is all evolving. If you're a regular viewer of the channel, don't worry, I'm still going to be showing you guys some stuff that I've never shared before. We have a lot to cover. Let's get into it. So this picture is an 8-year-old me, and you wouldn't know it by looking at the photo, but I'm actually holding a snake. My mom took a lot of flack over the years for clipping the snake out of the image, but we were on a camping trip. There were garter snakes all around the side of this river, and my brother and I were running around, and an older woman who I had no idea who she was, she took the time, she showed me how to properly hold a snake behind the head, and that was the first time I ever laid my hands on a snake. As you can see, I proudly came over, showed my parents, and that is where this whole thing started as an 8-year-old boy. I was born and raised in Southern California, and no one in my family was interested even in normal pets, let alone snakes and reptiles. So wherever this interest came from, I have no idea, but what I do know is that once I had it, it just never left me. Now, as we took different camping trips and ventured out, I came across many different types of snakes, and some of them made it home after convincing my parents. I even brought home the class gopher snake at one point. At the same time, some reptiles started making it home from local pet shops. And because my parents were uninterested, it seemed rather easy to sneak in another and another and another. When I was 13 years old, I rode my bike up to the local pet shop. I saved up my money, I saved up my allowance, and I did odd jobs, and I bought my very first boa constrictor. And the next year, I actually got a part-time job working at this pet store. So working there, I would see the mailing lists that would come out from the various importers and distributors, and I even started hitching rides to those locations with the manager, and I would spend all of my future paychecks on reptiles. As the years went by, my bedroom and my apartments, they always had wall units and racks and cages in them, and I quickly started developing a knack for breeding. My employment changed, and I started attending reptile expos, but I really wanted to do reptiles for a living, and not the civil service position that I had found my way into. Now, I came very close to opening up a franchise with a pretty popular name reptile shop here in Southern California, and my dad probably would have loaned me the money for me to do that, but he was really against it. So I took some time and kind of thought about it, and I decided that maybe dad was right, and I decided to not do it. But I did decide to start a reptile business and just do it on the side. I figure, why not? I'll just do both. In 1997, DMExplore was born. And in hindsight, opening up a franchise for that retail establishment probably would have been a big mistake, because years later, they did a 180-degree turn and stepped away from being reptile experts and turned into reptile entertainment. And that just would have been a deal breaker for me. I didn't want to do that when I was younger, and I still don't want to be that as an adult. After a few more years in business, I wanted to take DMExplore to the next level and go international, but nobody was willing to help, and there was nowhere that I could go to get the information on how to make that happen. So in 2003, I jumped on a plane by myself and I flew to Southeast Asia. It was the first of many trips, and after much trial and error, I finally figured things out. So by then I was 40 years old. I was still working the same civil service job with over 20 years on, and DMExplore was becoming a pretty well-known name in the reptile business. It was around this time that YouTube was starting up, but I was seeing the same handful of people cranking out tons of redundant content about the same mainstream species. It wasn't interesting to me because my taste in animals was far different than everyone else's. One day I looked around at my personal collection and I thought how I had plenty to make my own videos that went against the grain of everyone else out there. The monkey see, monkey do stuff was not my style. So I started this channel as a way to push back and bring awareness to the fact that there's way more diversity out there than what the others want you to see. So 10 years later, suddenly I was 50 years old and eligible for retirement. But I wasn't done making a name for myself yet, and I knew it would be a lot easier without a full-time job taking up all my time. My wife and I already had plans to move to Thailand and build a house, but how to continue the business was the big mystery. I got the idea to move my breeding collection overseas with my business partner in Malaysia, and also it happened to be right in the middle of the pandemic, but we pushed forward. So now presently we have a house in Thailand where we live the majority of the year. We have a breeding facility in Malaysia, and we're able to mix our retirement life with travel and leisure and with DM Exotics as an international business and brand. And I have to admit, life is pretty fantastic. At the end of next month, we're headed back to Southeast Asia, and we have a ton of new content planned for the channel. Please stay tuned, and as always, thank you so much for watching, and we will see you in the next one. Take care.